I want to talk about the energy of 2026 because it is a very interesting year. As you know, I'm a clairvoyant and claircognizant intuitive. I get visions and messages. I hazard to use the word predictions, but I can see visions of what's to come, what the general theme, what overall energies are. I have the ability to see energies within the body, outside of the body when I'm working with individuals, with people. And I also get insight for the collective of humanity and can get insight on things that will happen before they do happen. Even though I am ready to bring in the new year in January, technically the energy doesn't shift into the horse from the snake until about mid-February. So you've got about 6 weeks to get your shit together. You've got about 6 weeks to really stop the cycles, really get clear on what your bad habits are and what you do not want to bring into 2026. Because if you do bring that baggage over into 2026, you're entering another 9-year cycle with that baggage. So you better get things tightened up and in order because the train leaves the station mid-February. Typically, I am not a new year, new me type person. I'm not even very enthusiastic about the new year. It just seems to kind of roll in to the next one, especially in the dead of January, because that is the calendar new year, yes, but it is not technically the real New Year's. As we know, the Gregorian calendar has 13 months, 28 days to every single month, which lines up with the lunar cycle, which syncs up with our women's menstrual cycle. So it is a rhythmic cycle that repeats or should repeat. But years ago, that was basically shifted incorrectly to disrupt the natural balance of our rhythm. And the Pope, I don't know what Pope, but the Pope at the time had deemed April 1st, April Fool's Day, to gaslight those that knew the truth and were still trying to preach that message of the truth. So normally I say we don't start the new year until March 31st, April 1st. But it is a little bit different this year. I don't know if I'm just so ready to let go of 2025 because of how rough of a year that was. It was the year of a snake shedding its skin, which I talked about in my last video. 1/10, quick fun tip that I just learned. 1/10 of the snake's life is spent in absolutely excruciating discomfort as it's shedding its old skin. I used to think that it was just this natural process that it wiggled its way out of its old skin and had the new one. It was all nice and shiny. But really, what happens is for 1/10 of its life, it is in such discomfort that it will hide away, stop eating, and go blind for like 3 or 4 days. And it will start to rub itself up against hard surfaces because it's so agitating, it's so itchy, it's so excruciating for that old skin. I really do feel like that is how 2025 was for a lot of us. There were so many things that we tried to get into motion that just would not take off. And people were wondering, like, what more can I do? What am I not doing when they were trying all the things? But that was just the energy of 2025. So I'm just grabbing hold of the new year in January already. But I do have mixed feelings about that because even though I am ready to bring in the new year in January, technically the energy doesn't shift into the horse from until about mid-February. So it is ramping up and we'll see it really pick up in February. And then obviously it will tip the scales come April 1st. So I want to talk a little bit about the energy of 2026 and what we can expect. But first of all, I want to talk about what you should be doing between this time, between January and March 31st. This is something that I do every single year because I'm a huge believer in the anointed time for certain things. Anointed time just means that there's a time to do certain things. And if you miss that opportunity, then you're kind of screwing yourself over for the rest of the year. If you're like a lot of people who drink heavy Christmas, they laze around, and then all of a sudden they jump up and are expecting to have different habits come January 1st. And then they're struggling to try to make changes in their life and they haven't made any behavioral changes. They're really setting themselves up for failure. I also believe that you reap what you sow. When we get into August, September, October, that's when you reap what you've sowed. And now you're sowing the seeds. So I really want you to be set up for 2026 because this is such a powerful year. So, what I suggest doing between now and March is that we still are technically, that seed is still underground before it sprouts in the spring. So, a seed in the ground is dark. It is underground, it's in its cocoon, it's germinating, it's in spiritual gestation mode. It's creating the blueprint for what you want to see in your year. And between January 1st and March 31st is a crucial time for you to create the blueprint for the universe, for God to bring to life what you envision. If you have a builder and you give a blueprint to the builder and you say, okay, I want a kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, and a living room. It was, well, you wanted a kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, and a living room. Here you go. Well, this isn't the way that I wanted. And the builder's going to look back at you and say, well, you didn't give me a proper blueprint. You didn't sit there and write out where you want these things positioned and how you want them to flow. I built you what you asked for based on the blueprint that you gave me. And as we all know, you got to be very careful what you ask for. The more detail that you can give to that idea, the better the outcome will be. So I often use the analogy like a Bob Ross painting. Bob Ross doesn't sit down at the canvas and immediately paint all the detail. He starts with a blue sky and green grass, and then he starts to come back to that canvas. And each time that he comes back to the canvas, he adds more and more layers of detail to it. So I highly suggest that between January 1st and March 31st, you have a notebook, that you buy yourself a new notebook such as these and start writing lists, start filling up your notebook with things you want, things you desire, experiences that you want to have, things that you're asking for, prayers that you have, visions that you have. Fill it all in of what you want to experience this year. What kind of life experience do you want to have? What kind of life experience do you want to be in and feel with your five senses? You're in creation mode. You're creating the blueprint. So write every single day that you revisit your notebook and that you write, you will have new ideas that come to you and they will layer on top of what you wrote before. You live your daily life, you have experiences of what you like, what you dislike, things that you notice, things that come into your awareness, and then you come back to your notebook and you start to write those down and you build that blueprint. Another thing that you should be doing during this time is finding time every single day to be silent and to really envision with your third eye, use your imagination. Neville Goddard says the imagination is God. You start to envision what you want this life to look like, what you want this year to look like, but even project further than just this year. So visualize and feel the feelings of being in that frequency and visualize it and feel it with your sixth sense so that eventually you can experience with your five senses. You want to incubate your blueprint. You want to create your blueprint. You want to incubate it. You want to add momentum to it by visualizing it every day and then feeling the feelings of being in that vision and getting completely lost in it. And that is how you use the anointed time, where, yes, things are already shifting into the new year, but spring hasn't sprung yet. So let's get into the energies of 2026, the fire horse. This is really going to be a year of timeline. So choosing your timeline. I have seen a vision of the timelines splitting again, more so. And whatever timeline that you choose, and I have previously referred to it as the 3D timeline versus the 5D timeline, or the timeline of fear versus the timeline of love, you will see evidence of whichever timeline you choose, and the other timeline will not be able to see what you see. So don't expect people that are living in fear and doom and gloom and we're screwed and we're headed for, FEMA camps and we're all going to die. Don't expect them to be able to see your new earth vision that humanity is going to thrive, that there's going to be help from galactic beings that are going to help us elevating our frequency. We're going to be activating dormant strands of DNA. You're going to have a completely different outlook. It's like that picture of two people on a train, and one person is looking out the window and they see black and white and people crying and scowling and frowning. And then another person looks out on the other side and they're seeing sunshine and vibrant colors and kids laughing and playing. So, same train, completely different sides of the train looking out different windows. This is something that I just wanted to make it really simple because it's like, okay, which timeline do I choose? I want to explain loosh energy. Loosh energy is mining of your consciousness. And there's so many things in this world that produce loosh energy. That's why the news is so negative. That's why there's organized mass shootings. That's why there's war. It's all to create loosh energy. And when things go viral and they're over sensationalized on the internet, they have an emotional charge to them to produce loosh energy, to get people so upset, so entangled into it, so emotionally charged. And the negative entities, the parasitic reptilian entities that feed off of conscious energy, they produce this globally so that they can essentially eat, because they don't eat physical food, they feed off of loosh energy. So in 2025, I even noticed myself falling into narratives where I got emotionally charged, and I know that I was getting my energy looshed. So the easiest way in 2026 to choose the correct timeline is say no to anything where you know that it's looshing your energy. Okay. I'll go a little bit more further into this later on, talking about spiritual bypassing versus this process, but that's just how I want to start it out, just to keep it simple. Say no to anything that is looshing your energy this year. In 2026, it is crucial to develop a spiritual practice that you have every day. So it's necessary for you to create a field of coherence around you, head and heart coherence, and zero point energy. The way that I like to experience zero point energy, or to get into zero point energy, is that when I meditate, I close my eyes and I envision north and south coming together and east and west coming together. And it just drops into this zero point energy in the middle. It's just alchemizing the field entirely. And in that place is like nothing is happening, but everything is happening and everything's available to you, because that's when you truly are no place, no time, no one, no ego, no person. You're just pure consciousness. And that's when you are part of the quantum realm truly, and that's where your power lies. So it's super, super essential for you to develop a spiritual practice that you do every single day, whether it's candle gazing or dancing or tree hugging or chanting or barefoot grounding or meditation, tai chi, yoga, breathwork, whatever it is. Pick your daily grounding ritual. Personally, I like to dance because I can feel energy stuck in the body. When I was on Vancouver Island, I had the opportunity to meditate with a world-renowned monk, and he was mentioning that there is 72,000 different energy channels that go in and out of the body. And when you move your body and you do breath work, it's essentially like little pipe cleaners that are going to unclog the pipes. I often see those channels coming in and out, kind of like the Windows 95 or Windows 98 screensaver, where all the pipes are coming in and out of the screen and going across the screen. So that's essentially how I view all these different energy channels coming in and out of your body, and moving your body, dancing, intuitive movement, breath work, that really unclogs your pipes. And it really, like, it's little pipe cleaners that clean the energy out of your body and your Chinese meridians and all of that. So I do like dancing. I do like tree hugging because I normally ground, but here in Canada, it's very cold. So as an alternative, I'll just find a tree and I will wrap my arms around it. And usually I will put my forehead onto the tree and I'll just sit there for like 5 to 7 minutes. I have done it so much that I can feel the wobble. And I have told people about it, and they've tried it and they're like, "Oh my God, I felt the wobble." And it's a really cool phenomena. You can literally feel the energy transfer of the tree. So the same way that trees take your CO2, they take that and turn it into oxygen. It's the same way that they take our negative energy and give back positive energy. This is one of the practices that I like to do. Yes, you look weird when people are walking by you, but I think honestly in today's day and age, people are like, okay, whatever, she's grounding or she's doing her thing. I don't think anybody really bats an eye. But when you sit there for like 5+ minutes, sometimes you even get messages coming in from the tree. Usually they're very simple messages like slow down, ground yourself. I've heard the message like, I've been here for a long time. I've seen a lot of things happen to this earth. You'll be okay. You know, things happen, come and go. I'm still here. I really love meditation. So there's so many different types of meditation that you can do. If you follow me, you'll learn about all sorts of different types of meditation that you can do because I'm a meditation enthusiast. But whatever your spiritual practice is, I highly suggest that you develop a spiritual practice that you can do every single day to keep you grounded in 2026. This will help you stabilize the grid as things rapidly fall apart this year and shift because the year of the fire horse is things happening at a really fast pace. 2025 was like painfully slow, moving through the mud type energy, and things that you wanted to get into motion, into gear, just did not have that oomph behind it. And it was extremely frustrating for people that love fast paced movement, such as myself. So I'm really excited for the year of the fire horse because things are going to be shifting rapidly. But in this fast moving energy, you need something to stabilize the grid. So with this fast moving energy, we're going to see linear time dissolving. I had a meditation the other day where I was encountering some resistance in my mind because I was thinking about having a certain experience of how I want my life to look like. And in my head, I thought there's no way that this realistically could come within the next year, though, because realistically, the way that things happen, the amount of time that this technically takes, we're looking at like the 3 to 4 year point in the future. And my guides had to remind me, like, hey, when you're in meditation and when you are in this 0 point energy, time doesn't exist. Time is not linear. So if you tune into it, if you feel it in the moment, if you're tuning into that frequency of already experiencing that lifestyle, you are collapsing time. And the more time that you spend in that 0 point energy with time collapsed, where time is not linear, the faster that will come. The cooperative components in the universe will gather together to bring about your desires, to bring that vision to life. 5D physics are completely different than 3D physics. So that's why 0 point energy meditation is so important. We create our desirable outcomes so much faster when the more time that you spend in 0 point energy while visualizing your desired outcome. I hazard to say dream life, as many online coaches will, to manifest your dream life, because I don't think you ever really reach a point where you're like living your dream life. I think that dream constantly evolves as we're meant to continue to expand in what we desire. We're meant to continue to expand in our vision of what we would like to experience in our lives. So instead of dream life, I say, visualize your next desired experience of this life. So the fire horse is all about big, bold, courageous jumps ahead. We think of wild mustangs galloping. They're so free. We see the horses that are galloping along the beach. It's freedom, independence, courage, bold moves. It's exhilarating. It's all about innovation and creativity. And the speed will really pick up in mid-February, Valentine's Day. I'm guessing that we will really feel that shift into where that speed really picks up. I believe we're going to see a lot of breakthroughs in medical technology, free energy advancements, lots of light codes coming in and changing our DNA, unlocking dormant strands of DNA coming in. It is going to be choosing of the different timelines that is really going to activate those dormant strands of DNA. In 2025, I spent a lot of time being bitter about the chemtrails and the things that the controllers are doing to dummy us down, to stop our dormant DNA strands from coming back online, even though I had the knowledge prior that our dormant strands of DNA are coming online, that we're all getting activated. I already had that new Earth consciousness in 23 and 2024. It was really heightened, but it kind of was a little bit ungrounded. And in 2025, I was flung right back to this hopeless, sort of discouraged feeling. And I didn't get a chance to really anchor in a lot of the light codes that I did in 2023 and 2024. So I want to encourage you, go out in the sunshine, because the sunshine activates these dormant strands of DNA, allowing for the sun to close your eyes, obviously, but let that sun shine straight into your pineal gland and it will decalcify your pineal gland. It'll activate your pineal gland. Here in the summertime, when I'm paddleboarding on the lake, especially in August and September, is when you can actually see the light codes dancing on the water. When you see that sparkle, I took a video when I was in Todos Santos last year in March, and there you could see it. It was so sparkly, you would have thought that there was gold in the water. Those are light codes. So bask in them, see them as light codes, accept them as light codes, let them anchor deep into your DNA because they are unlocking dormant strands of DNA. And as much as they try to block the sun out with the chemtrails, and as much as they try to poison your food and all that kind of stuff, they can't stop what's coming. If you choose to be on the timeline where you are getting activated, you're getting stronger, you're getting empowered, you're raising your vibration, you're expanding your consciousness, then you will see evidence of the timeline that you choose. I see a lot of developments, huge developments happen in the transport and aviation industry. So beings that are far more consciously developed than we are, they actually power their craft with their consciousness. They don't guzzle gasoline or fuel or anything. They actually power their spaceships and their vessels using their consciousness. So the fact that we're flying in airplanes is akin to the riding on the back of a dinosaur. Like, again, going back to the teachings of Dr. Stephen Greer, where I mentioned in my last video that we're 100 years behind in sacred technology and unity consciousness. The fact that we're still riding around in these metal tubes, these bullets, is so outdated, and they just have not released the technology yet that would allow for way more efficient travel. The aviation system has been crumbling over the last few years. They're low staff, they've been on strikes, the airline companies are screwing people over without any sort of accountability. We're seeing skyrocketing prices, much less than you have ever gotten. You take an 8-hour trip and they throw you a bag of peanuts. They barely feed you anymore. They're losing your bags. It's disorganized. It's increased chaos. It's destabilization of this entire industry. The fear timeline, if you choose the fear timeline, you believe that this is all part of the 2030 agenda where they don't want you traveling. They want you stuck in your 15-minute cities, tracking your carbon footprint, limiting you with all these credits, and all in the name of climate change. On the love timeline, you know that this industry that is collapsing is meant to squeeze people out of the old system, allowing for it to completely burn to the ground so that new technology can come in its place. And you believe in that new technology that's coming in its place, where it's a much more efficient way for us to travel. It's a much more organized system. And so simply for you holding that belief that that is going to happen, you are manifesting that, you're creating that. The same thing is happening with the healthcare system, as I mentioned in the previous video. It's a hot dumpster fire. We're seeing big pharma being exposed. We're seeing people's health falling apart and a system that cannot help them. So many people are having ambiguous health issues with zero answers from our current system. So what's coming in for the new year is a lot of new breakthroughs in medical technology, frequency beds, handheld household frequency technologies. I'm actually wearing a frequency technology right now using microcurrent. I have a program running right now for parasites. It has the ability to scan your body and let you know what you need. And then it has hundreds of programs on it to help you with just about anything that you can think of. Your hormones, your organs, your muscle tissue, your eyesight, mental balance, even goes into helping you shortcut to feel more whole on a soul level. What it does is it harmonizes your bioenergetic field and feeds your body frequencies that you need to harmonize your body through microcurrent. We are going to be seeing a lot of increase in robots and them being stationed in society. This is something that I've had a lot of resistance to because I am a person that can't stand when I'm not dealing with a person. I hate automated messages. I get really frustrated when I'm talking with anything AI generated because I don't get that human connection, but it's something that is inevitably going to happen. So you can expect to see robots everywhere in the future. They're going to be the ones that are ripping your tickets at the Ticketmaster, at the cinema. Yeah. So overall, it's going to be a very electrical year, which will make us very conscious of the fact that really everything is energy and frequency. Everything comes down to energy and frequency. We are electrical beings. Everything around us is electric. The very air around us, the space, the matter around us is electric. The ether is electric. Side note, a lot of the old buildings were so tall and they had a golden antenna at the very top to harness the free electrical energy that exists in the ether. Will become more sensitive to harmful devices that have degenerative effects on our bodies, like constantly being on your phone or constantly being on your computer or the 5G networks. All of this is causing our bodies to degenerate. There are times when I'm on my phone too much, I can literally feel the energy going through, and it's almost like it feels like it's like this heavy energy. It feels like my blood vessels are clogged. It sort of feels like lymphedema, like that heavy clogged energy. When this happens, I simply know that there's been too much EMF transfers. If I'm on my computer, it's the same thing. I've recently noticed a literal buzz that I can feel as soon as I'm typing on my laptop. So whenever this happens, I immediately run outside and I ground my hands in the earth or I wrap them around a tree and I just stay there for 5, 7, 10 minutes. Honestly, it truly takes about 15 minutes for the entire energy transfer to happen, for all of your ionic energy to become rebalanced. Because what happens when you are on your electrical devices, whether you are wearing Bluetooth headsets or you're on your laptop or your computer or your phone, you gain positively charged ions in your body. And I know this from being a registered massage therapist for years and going through all of my neuroanatomy and biology and all of that. The body loves to be negatively charged. The more positively charged the ionic balance in your body is, the more susceptible to disease you are. So when you're spending a lot of time on devices and you're collecting this positively charged ions, you're really setting yourself up to get sick, to have disease, to get illnesses, to have a disharmonious and unbalanced environment inside your body. The earth is negatively charged. So the earth has negative ions. So when you are in direct contact with the earth, shoes don't count because rubber stops the conduction of energy. You have to have direct contact with the earth. And that will help that transfer of negative ions and positive ions to balance themselves out again. You will have an offloading of positive ions, and the earth will give you negative ionic energy again. So we are going to be more sensitive to the harmful frequencies that have these harmful effects on our body, but we'll also find ways to regenerate. We'll also be more mindful of possessing and using tools that are going to help us regenerate our bodies, like grounding, like frequency devices. This frequency device in particular does not give harmful EMF. In fact, it has programs on it that actually help ground you and help rebalance your ionic energy in your body. But also things like shungite and tourmaline is a really good crystal to have on your desk because it absorbs negative EMF frequencies. I'm going to talk a little bit about the financial collapse. I only wrote one line down here because that's not really my area of expertise. But in one timeline, in the fear timeline, we're all going to be doomed and screwed, and digital ID and carbon footprint and all of that will be your currency. They're going to track you and you won't be able to opt out of it. So you will be the currency. There are going to be a lot of decentralized options that are coming online. There's going to be decentralized internets that are coming online. There's going to be decentralized financial currencies that are coming into play, like crypto and stuff. There is also, okay, so on the love timeline and on the 5D timeline, your frequency will be your currency. So when you have elevated wealth consciousness, when you're not in lack, when you don't have shortage consciousness, you're not repeating, I'm broke, I can't make money, I can't get ahead. When you train your brain to have wealth consciousness, when you shift into a frequency of abundance, you will see how the universe assimilates universal synchronicities together so that you can just flow through life. And often you will get to your desired outcome or your desired experience without even really needing the money currency. Things will just come together in a way where you will be able to have the experience that you desire to have. And you'll look back and think, how did that even work out? Like, I just met the right person at the right time, and then I got invited here and they bought me a free ticket. So because you have an elevated frequency, that will be your currency, and you will detach from the money, the shekels, the matrix. You'll completely detach from that and create your own relationship with the universe where you're working with universal synchronicities that just happen and flow together to get you where you want to go, to get you the things that you want to manifest, to help you have the experience that you want to experience. And it will happen in a way that doesn't involve. Focus on what the outcome is, what you want to buy with that money, what you want to do with that money. Focus on that end goal and then let go of how you're going to get there. We're going to see governments that will continue to fall and be exposed. There is going to be a lot more truth coming out about the controllers of the world, specific small groups of people, the elites, the controllers, the deep state. There's going to be a lot more dripping of information. There's going to be a revolutionary type energy throughout the entire year. It's the power shifting away from the controllers, the top down, and given back to the people, because that top down hierarchy is all going to be torn down. It's going to be exposed, and the controllers are going to be exposed. With that, you will see a huge effort for them to hang on to their lies, hang on to the narratives, hang on to the propaganda. We will see a battle with anti-Semitic propaganda increase as people are finding out the truth around the narrative that we've been taught around the Second World War and what happened there in a small group of people. There will be more truth coming out around that, and that will trigger ancestral and generational wounds because there has been such a strong emotionally charged narrative that has been passed down from generations to generations. So, with the truth that is going to be uncovered when it comes to World War II and everything that is about that, people will get triggered generationally and ancestrally. And there will also be this panic that the truth is coming out. So, big truth waves coming in for people this year in such a way that it's not just going to be working on an individual basis, but it's actually going to be mobilizing and activating the masses, like big waves of people waking up. Whereas the previous year, it was people waking up on an individual basis and a lot of people feeling like they are the oddball out, like they're insane, they're crazy, they're seeing what nobody else is seeing. There's going to be a lot of validation for the people that have felt that way over the last few years, because I do see that in 2026, there's going to be a large masses of people that are waking up. There's one wave, then there's another wave, then there's another wave. There is a huge amount of disclosure coming out about our history, who we really are, lots of galactic disclosure, lots of like alien starseed type disclosure coming out. Obviously, the last video that I did was a message from the Galactic Federation that I wanted to share with you guys. But with a rising and shifting into this love timeline, we will unite In right now, we're seeing a lot of division, we're seeing a lot of polarity, and we're also seeing a lot of a division with different cultures and races. But if you think about this for a second, the global collective, it doesn't matter what country you come from, it doesn't matter what race you are, none of that matters. There's people that are stationed all around the world right now that are coming online to their spiritual superpowers. They're getting messages from somewhere higher. They're connecting with themselves. They're going into meditation. They're getting curious about their spirituality. They're coming online. Their dormant strands of DNA are becoming activated. They're raising their vibration. And this is happening in every culture, in every race, all around the world. So even though we're not going to see unity of all races, all countries on Earth, we're going to see, if you can imagine all those people around the globe, they're going to shift up into a higher timeline. That's where we're going to find that unity. Okay. We're going to unite with the people that are also choosing the timeline. And remember, the people that are choosing the other timeline are not going to be able to see what you see. So don't think that necessarily everyone is going to have this homogenous uniting. It's not going to happen, okay? There's still going to be polarity, but you're going to see a uniting of people that have chosen the same timeline that you have. If you've chosen the fear timeline, you will automatically attract other people who are sharing conspiracies and negative information. They're almost like happy to loosh off of sharing this negativity with people. I've seen this, and it's sad. It can give this false sense of kinetic energy because you still are bonding with others, but really you're bonding over a negative mindset, a negative timeline. It's sad. The people that are choosing the love timeline, the love frequency, the 5D consciousness that are doing the work to raise their vibration, they will find unity with other people where they're like, oh my God, like you see the world the same way. You also see these positive visions for humanity. You see where we're going, where we're shifting. You're also noticing universal synchronicity. You're seeing numbers, you're seeing patterns. We're going to see a lot of people coming online with their spiritual abilities, with their intuition. We're going to see a lot less head and mind and more heart and intuition. All the clairs are going to be coming online, right? Clairvoyant, claircognizance, clairsentience, clairaudience, people that are able to tap into the spectrum more of the non-physical realm and use it and leverage it. They're leveraging the non-physical realm because they understand that that always preludes the physical realm. And so those people will have an advantage. And it's exciting when you meet other people that are on the same page as you are. Okay, I see that water is going to play a huge role. Water is liquid crystal. And what we know about crystals is that crystals have the ability to record and hold information. Your phone is crystal technology. And water is liquid crystal. So we're going to see a huge shift with being very intentional with our water. We're going to bless our water, bless the water that you drink, bless the water that you shower in, that you swim in. Hold your cup of water, close your eyes, feed your water good energy, allow for source energy light to flow through your chakras, and then go out into your arms and flow into your water. Be very intentional, bless your water. This is the Healy device, the Mag Healy device, another product that the Healy line has, and it's got water activation frequencies. I simply place this Healy on top of my water and I can restructure the molecular structure of the water to give it new information via frequencies. There's like lots of different programs like mental clarity, heart opening, nutrition transport. There's ones for fasting, bioenergetic detox. So we're gonna be seeing some really cool advancements with that. I want to mention something about these two different timelines that I didn't mention before. The love timeline is going to feel simple, calm, humble. It's going to be emanating a lot of light. There's going to be a lot of trust, even though your current circumstances, when you have this peace that surpasses all human understanding. Like, let's say if you have no money in the bank, but you're like, I know I'm okay. I know I'm good. I know provision is coming. and I'm not the least bit worried about it. That's the kind of energy. I'm not going to say that you're going to be broke, but that's the kind of trust that you and the universe are going to experience on the love timeline. The fear timeline will be chaotic. It'll be very complex. There's going to be a lot of arguments, a lot of trying to make sense of different angles. It's going to feel very messy and complex. Like, how do we fix this? How can we possibly fix this mess? It's overwhelming. We've gone too far. We're in too deep. That's the type of energy. Whereas the love energy will just be understanding. It's almost so when you go into meditation and you see like a hologram in front of you that has this multi-dimensional answer to it, and you get it, you understand it. Aha. Okay. And then as soon as you try to put that into words, it flattens like a pancake, and it's like basically trying to take something from the 5D physics and smorsh it into the 3D physics, which just does not work. So again, to experience and tune into the love timeline, you must regularly drop into 0 point energy throughout the day, often, like many times per day, to create this head and heart coherence. When you do this, you will become a master of your frequency. You will become a master at creating your manifestations. So there are times where I'm cooking. I'm in the middle, I've got a spatula in my hand, I'm cooking spaghetti, and all of a sudden I get a feeling like I should tune in. There's some kind of download, that maybe a message that's coming, maybe a feeling, maybe I feel a rush of gratitude coming in, and I just really want to anchor into that. I really want to feel that spread all throughout my body. I put my spatula on my countertop, I sit down on my couch, and I take 1 or 2 minutes and I just tune in. And sometimes it's a message that comes in for me. Sometimes it's a realization, an awareness. Sometimes it's just like an elevated, ecstatic type of ecstasy feeling that just floods my body, and I'm elevated. My vibration, I can feel my vibration rising. I can feel myself becoming more particle, more wave, less matter. And all of a sudden, then it's like, okay, download complete. It usually only takes 1 to 2 minutes, but I do that often. I do that when I'm getting the message, when I'm getting that inkling that I should tune in, but I also do it throughout the day just to drop into that 0 point energy, that good feeling space. All right, so this is a question that comes up often. I've had this question myself. What about the war? What about the poverty? What about everything that we're seeing that goes wrong in the world? What about the controllers? What about the deep state? What about all of this? Yes, that exists. And I know this because even though I was super elevated in my 5D consciousness, and I really truly did live in that timeline for the majority of 2022, 2023, 2024, in 2025, I got sucked back into the narrative because I was wondering, what about all these crappy things that happen? What about the reality of things, right? But it's basically choosing your timeline again. So if you're not careful about consistently staying in the vibration and choosing the timeline that you want to be on, because you again will experience and see evidence of whichever timeline you choose, you will see evidence of that around you, and you will not be able to argue the reality. I cannot argue the fact that this cup is pink. Super cute, cosmic cuties, but it's pink. Our job is to ascend above that. It's not ignorance is bliss, because I have gone down every single rabbit hole you can imagine. I think there is something to be said about knowing the truth, uncovering the truth, and not just sticking your head in the sand like an ostrich and blocking out because you don't want to hear it. But once you've gone down every rabbit hole, once you know the truth about how dark this world really is, how the programs, how deep the programming runs, you can then consciously choose to create something positive anyways. You create heaven on earth in your life. You think, okay, I know that the controllers of the world are trying to poison me. They're trying to kill me. They're trying to do this. They're trying to do that. But I choose to thrive. And even though I can't save the world, I can create heaven on earth in my own life. And so that's what you do. And I used to question whether people that had no idea about the corruption, hadn't ever gone down any rabbit holes, were they any better off than the people that did? Because they were just like happy, skipping along, nothing's wrong, everything's fine. But we're almost coming to a point where it's inevitable that nobody really can be that ignorant anymore. And there's so many different triggers that are going to trigger different groups of people into finding out truth. But the whole purpose for us here is to uncover that truth and then choose to rise above it, choose to ascend above it. This is why raising your vibration meditations are so important on a daily basis. So I just want to do a quick summary of everything that's been in this video, the keynotes for 2026. Your frequency will be your currency, so make sure that you choose your timeline, stick to that timeline, and have supporting behaviors that will help you stay on that timeline. You are meditating, you are grounding, you have spiritual practices. Be courageous, be bold in this year of the fire horse. We are massively supported by cosmological alignments that support big, bold moves for 2026. You got to take more time away from all the noise and the drama. Take time to be silent. For 30 minutes a day, be silent. Most of the problems that you face individually can be solved with 30 minutes of silence, because what happens is that your brain in that time knows how to problem solve. It knows how to, your spirit remembers how to detach from the narrative, from the tentacles that are plugged into everything. It knows how to detach from that. It knows how to plug back into itself. And once it does that, you naturally have a direct line to source. You have a direct connection to source. In fact, you are an extension of source energy. You are made in the image of God, however you want to say that. So your spiritual blueprint remembers how to do that. You just need to disconnect from the noise, from your phone, from distractions in order to be able to do that. So take time to be silent and take 15 to 30 minutes a day. I highly suggest 30 minutes a day to drop into that 0 point energy as often as you can. If you have difficulty detaching from your physicalness and your current circumstances, and you can't really find that vibration, that buzz that you feel like you should be getting from meditation, try breath work and take big breaths in, and where you'll really start to feel the energy spreading through your body, where you'll really start to feel that energy build within you is going to be on your holds. So when you breathe in and you hold and then you exhale completely, and then when you can't take it anymore and you have to take a deep breath in, but it is in those holds between your breaths that you will really start to feel that energy build and shift within you. You got to focus on the positive. That's part of choosing the timeline that you want to be on. It's part of co-creating the collective timeline with others, because all around the world, people are choosing either one or two timelines. Generally speaking, it's kind of coming down to the love or the fear timeline, or the 3D or 5D, or fear or love, or enslavement versus freedom. I could go on, but you are co-creating that. So the more people that choose their timeline and choose to stick on it, they're going to be co-creating that, and whatever visions they see are going to manifest much sooner, much faster for all of humanity to experience. Don't give your attention to collapsing systems. Don't give your attention to narratives that create polarity. And I just want to reiterate again that these narratives, you got to be very, very careful, because these narratives can be very persuasive. They are designed to hook you, and they can very easily seduce you and suck you back in. So you got to be very, very careful. That goes right back to the very first thing that I said. Don't choose things that are looshing your energy. This isn't about spiritual bypassing. Again, it's not about sticking your head in the sand like an ostrich and not wanting to know. It's knowing the truth and being aware of circumstances. Okay, you're aware of even politics. I don't think that politics and spirituality are on opposite ends of the pendulum. I think what is good is when you are aware of what's happening, but you choose for it not to lose your energy. When you start to feel depleted, when you start to feel fear, when you start to panic, when you start to feed that wolf, that's when you're getting your energy loosed. So choose consciously. It's seeing everything with awareness and then consciously choosing what you give your attention to, because what you understand with your consciousness is your currency. Because you understand your consciousness is your currency. This is the year where a 3D type person can truly shift into a multidimensional being with special capabilities. I have a course called Spiritual Superpowers, where your spiritual superpowers come online. 2026 is such a year of such grandiose, big, bold potential. It really does. You can have hope that a completely asleep person will all of a sudden get jolted and awakened and have an aha moment and choose the same timeline that you're on. Your job, if you were already on the 5D timeline, if what I'm saying is resonating with you, if you've been here for years, hold the grid. I know most of us light workers are getting really tired of anchoring the grid and holding the frequency, but hold the line, guys. This is a fast year of getting things into motion and really feeling this really expansive centrifugal force moving through you, and lots of rapid change happening. So if you're a person that loves change and you love to move fast, this is the most perfect year for you. Lots of great things are going to happen for you this year. I feel it, and I'm really excited about it.